Okay, so shall we get started?
Claro que sí.
Okay, and I want to go around and ask you two questions. And the first one I want to ask is really, how did you do with the exercise? And you've had plenty of time to do it. And I sent you another warning a couple of days ago, just in case. And let me start with Carol. You were on here first, so you get to be the first up.
Well, so I did do the exercise, and it was actually remarkable how it felt like when you're looking, I mean, I was looking across a parking lot at someone, but I felt like there was some kind of bond that was created between us. It was really interesting. And I did it a few times to a few people, and somehow, you know, there was like, it wasn't just looking at a person, there was something more connection going on. So I found that really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very good. How was your meditation in the week?
Oh, it was good. We meditated most days, I think, and
How's your
one day it was hard, but the rest was fine.
How's your meditation going generally?
Me?
Yeah.
It's going well, and I think certainly having it be regular is very, very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. How about you, Barley?
Well, I didn't really do my homework again. I did share the concept, though, with some friends, and they thought it sounded like a cool idea. So
good.
That was
Did you
good.
get any reports from them?
No, they hadn't tried it. I just told them that
Okay.
There was this thing that existed that you would how you would share. The one woman teaches yoga, you know, the asana. Enjoy that. And my meditation is going well. I love to just drop into it whenever my mind feels like it's rested enough to do it.
That's very good.
Just got so many things going on, but I'm always excited when my mind will say, okay, I can meditate now. And then I was looking up walking meditation, but I really like to close my eyes.
Right, and close your eyes doesn't work very well with walking meditation.
No. Every little YouTube video I came across said you couldn't close your eyes, so that made sense.
Now, the one of the things with walking meditation is actually when you do this, more of your brain is engaged, because when you're moving your body out in the world, there's this three-dimensional positioning stuff that is going on automatically. And with that, then actually more of your mind is active when you're walking than when you're sitting. And I personally have had a number of, you know, kind of insights that just happen instantaneously when I'm walking. And I suspect it's because of this more mental engagement that's going on. You know, I don't know. For me, it's been one of the things that's been very good for the last 30 years, especially if I'm dealing with something that is some kind of a problem or something I'm thinking of or some difficulty I'm having, then I find again and again this whole solution just comes up instantly. And what it takes is just paying attention to my feet as I walk, the feel of my feet. Anyway, how about you, Doug?
Oh, well, my meditation has been good. It's been 2 weeks now, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, almost every day. And And yeah, it's been good. The exercise, I actually did it at a little park just close to here in front of a church. And so I was kind of looking at the people as they were coming out of the church. This was on Guadalupe Day, on Sunday the 12th. So it was kind of an interesting, I would say interesting, I don't know. I can't say I got a whole lot out of it. But I'm glad I did it. And I did feel like a connection with the people as I was wasn't trying not to stare at them, but kind of thinking about them while they were there. And so I'm glad that I finally did it.
Okay. And this sense of connection, I think, is part of what is really going on with that kind of meditation. Certainly, that kind of meditation on any kind of a regular basis, even once a week, then starts to build up your mental circuits for this emotional connection.
Well, it definitely is a connection because I can still picture them in my mind.
Interesting.
Me too.
Yeah.
Interesting. So something's going on. We don't know what it is, but something's going on. That's great. How about you, Cheryl?
I did do the exercise. I was the first couple of people that I sort of focused on. I was pretty conscious of, I was pretty concerned that they were going to be creeped out because I was kind of staring at them. So that's the first thing that came up. But I sort of got over that and moved on. And yeah, it was good. Definitely more of a sense of connection, probably a little more compassion, I guess. I did notice that.
That's good.
If I could let go some more of the whole "do you notice I'm staring at you" thing, it probably would, it probably would have been even more. The connection thing probably would have been. I expect would have been even more strong.
Do any of you feel like it's something you'll do again?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Now, you should be thankful that I was still being nice to you. Once when I went in California, when I went through one of these emotional growth programs that they had as an exercise. We all went to a shopping mall and had to find 10 people that would let us hug them.
Oh.
Pre-COVID, actually.
That's right. That's right. It was definitely before COVID. And for me, that was more stressful than just wishing them to be happy and healthy. So you had to convince them that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, very good. Shall we then proceed with our first meditation? Let me get the picture up. Excuse me while I fiddle with my computer and fiddle with my computer some more. Okay, here we go. And so meditation is present moment awareness, paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. Feel your breath in and out. Fully receive whatever is experienced, then let it go. All right. Let me make. Now, today, as our Christmas meditation, I'm not sure how Christmassy this is, but we're going to talk about the Buddhist roots of mindfulness from 2,500 years ago and talk about the Buddha's own meditation. And I said the Buddhists had their roots in meditation 2,500 years ago. Actually, meditation has even earlier roots. Buddhism really grew from what is called Raja Yoga. And Raja Yoga is the yoga of self-discipline and practice. And it was practiced by the royal class in the time that Buddha grew up. And meditation was the primary practice of Raja Yoga. And there are many similarities between Raja Yoga practices and Buddhist practices. A few weeks ago, we talked about the Yoga Sutras, and these are really from the Raja Yoga tradition. So Buddha saw that human life inevitably ends in old age, sickness, and death, and he was determined to escape from this suffering. So Buddha, called Siddhartha at this time, walked away from a very privileged upbringing and from his young wife and son to join forest-dwelling ascetics. He had been groomed as a prince, but he turned away from it to search for something more meaningful. He renounced his status, gave away his possessions, and wandered, living a life of physical hardships and spiritual struggle. He learned the ancient arts of meditation from a series of teachers during his wandering, and he was now known as Gautama, and he quickly mastered meditation and was invited by his teachers to join them as a leader of their community. While this would have brought honor and prestige from his fellow wanderers, he turned down the offer and set out again to follow his own path. He thought meditation was a valuable practice, but was only a temporary refuge. You are happy and peaceful during meditation, but after the meditation is over, you can still get suffer and still get involved in all of the problems of life. And so he was in search for some deeper wisdom and a solution that penetrated into the very nature of human suffering and showed him how to end it once and for all. In his next phase, Gautama took up the practice of extreme asceticism, following the guidance of peers who were convinced that by turning away from all the pleasures and embracing pain, one could root out the desire that holds a person in bondage. Starving himself to within an inch of his life, he eventually realized that this was not leading to any extraordinary insights and decided to start eating normally and to give up this asceticism. And he was able to measure the value of his practice using his own experience rather than accepting the opinions of others. And so once again, he set out alone to find another way. And he wandered around again for days and nights, and finally found himself near a large Bodhi tree. Something about the tree called him, and he went to it and sat down, and he made a resolution. I shall sit under this tree and meditate upon my questions, and I shall not move until I have my answers. Even if my skin rots and my body decays, I shall not budge until I see the light. He sat in the lotus position, closed his eyes, and concentrated on his breath. As the days and nights passed, he went through many different feelings. For the next 7 weeks, the Buddha continued to sit in silence. What he was practicing while he sat under the Bodhi tree was mindfulness, simple attention to his breath, like we are practicing. He came to a place within himself in which the mind was at complete peace, and he felt merged with the universe. This is reached when a person's desires stop, and then suffering goes away. Then they neither need nor want anything. They are just deeply happy and content. After this, he became known as Buddha, the one who is awake. And he talked about mindfulness after this, and his talks were written down and became the original Buddhist teachings about mindfulness. And what he wrote down then is the basis of the mindfulness practice that is still in use today. And it certainly is the basis of what we are doing together. So now I'm going to play a video, and this was made by a friend of mine who is known now as Adyasakti, and he is in Ceylon, and he's going to be talking about what Buddha wrote about mindfulness. He was a Buddhist monk for a number of years and received extensive training at the monastery. And so he is speaking from a standpoint of somebody who's actually spent years doing this kind of practice. So here, let me get the video. Here he is.
Namaste.
And the voice is out of sync with the video, so just listen.
So-called Buddhism today has very little to do with the Buddha's actual teaching. For example, mostly today, meditation retreat or class means sitting in a group. And while the Buddha did give instructions to his monks in a group, at the end, he would often say, now go alone to the roots of a tree, the bank of a river, a forest, a field, an abandoned house. Sit down, straighten your spine, your body, fix mindfulness in front of you, and do what has to be done. So, what is it that the Buddha wanted us to do? Well, one day, Buddha's son, Rahul, asked him this very question. And that's what today's sutra is about. Bhagavan told him, Rahul, suppose there is a bhikshu who is happy being alone in quietude. In a secluded place, he corrects his body, corrects his intention, and sits cross-legged. Without any other thoughts, he fastens his mind on the tip of his nose. 1. When there is a long breath out, he is also aware of the long breath. 2. When there is a long breath in, he is also aware of the long breath. 3. When there is a short breath out, he is also aware of the short breath. 4. When there is a short breath in, he is also aware of the short breath. When there is a cold breath out, he is also aware of the cold breath. 6. When there is a cold breath in, he is also aware of the cold breath. 7. When there is a warm breath out, he is also aware of the warm breath. 8. When there is a warm breath in, he is also aware of the warm breath. 9. He completely contemplates the in-breaths and out-breaths of the body, aware of them all. 10. When there is breathing, he is also aware of its presence. 11. When there is no breathing, he is also aware of its absence. 12. If there is an out-breath conditioned by the mind, he is aware that the out-breath was conditioned by the mind. 13. If there is an in-breath conditioned by the mind, he is aware that the in-breath was conditioned by the mind. Thusly, Rahul, one is able to cultivate the practice of Anapanasati to eliminate every notion of worry and sorrow, obtain the great fruit, and taste the sweet nectar of immortality. So, this is what has to be done. There are some interesting things to notice here. One is that the Buddha mentions the out-breath first. In other words, a cycle of breath begins with the out-breath, the exhalation, then the in-breath. So this is a particular style of breathing known as hung saha. Hung saha. Hung is repeated on the out-breath and sa is repeated mentally on the in-breath. And actually, these are the sounds, the natural sounds made by the different breaths. And this is discussed in detail in the Tantras. And maybe one of these days we'll do a series on that. But the Buddha here simply says, be aware without any other thoughts, mind you, of the quality of the breath. A long breath, a short breath, a warm breath, a cold breath, a natural breath, or a breath conditioned by the mind. Well, what does it mean when the breath is conditioned by the mind? Well, just watch yourself breathing. And you'll notice as soon as you put attention on the breath changes. That means the breath is being conditioned by the mind. The very fact of attention on the breath changes it. And you'll see that a lot of the time we've been holding the breath, either in or out. while we concentrate on sense objects. But when one concentrates within, well, there are two stages. In the first stage, the mind is still conditioning the breath. Even though it may become very subtle, still, because of the attention on the breath changes. But after some time, and I mean hours, of this kind of practice, something very wonderful happens. For example, when we sleep, breathing continues. I mean, hopefully, otherwise we won't wake up. And the reason it continues is because of the autonomic nervous system. That means the part of the body's controlling mechanism that is not subject to consciousness. This is instinctive functions of the body. So when the breathing shifts from deliberate or willful, mind-conditioned breathing to automatic breathing, as in sleep, that means we're no longer aware of breathing. Breathing just happens. But even so, we can be mindful of the breathing that happens, even during sleep or in deep meditation. It doesn't mean that breathing stops. It means that we stop breathing and allow the autonomic system to take over. This is what Ramana Maharshi called sleepless sleep, the state of turiya, in which there is no mind, there is no ego, no thoughts, no sense objects, only the self with a capital S. And this is what Buddha wants us to do. This method, Anapanasati or Anupanasmriti, is the method that Buddha himself used to attain enlightenment, sitting under the Bodhi tree. So we have to do the work. It's not that Buddha is going to zap us or any guru or any teacher, although there are some people who imagine this happens. But what really happens is, if you sit down, like Buddha says, adjust the body, adjust the intention, fix the attention in front of you in mindfulness. It could be on the tip of the nose or it could be a little farther, it doesn't matter. The point is to fix the attention and watch the breath. Just watch it. Don't try to regulate it to a certain number of counts or heartbeats. I mean, there are teachings that talk about these things. But you notice the Buddha doesn't say any of that. He just tells his son, Rahul, sit down and watch the breath and note. Just note, which means notice. Long breath, short breath, hot breath, cold breath, conditioned breath, unconditioned breath. And I can't describe the result of this practice because the result is indescribable. So you have to do it for yourself. That's the only way it's going to happen. And that's the only way you're going to get the result. So do like the Buddha says. Go alone. Don't meditate in a group. Don't meditate in a temple or an ashram, or what to speak of a yoga classroom, which stinks of sweat from people doing these ridiculous exercises. But go to a pure place, the roots of a sacred tree, not just any tree, a Bodhi tree or a neem tree, or a place where the tulsi plants are growing. A sacred place, purified. The bank of a river. In those days, The rivers were actually pure. You could even drink the water. What a thought. Or a forest, a field, somewhere where you can count on being left alone for significant periods of time, hours. And just do the breath. Watch the breath. Be with the breath. And you'll surely find that all your worries and anxieties, all your thoughts and dreams, your desires, all your little petty peeves, and the contents of the mind in general gradually subside. Why? You're not giving them attention. Attention is food for the mind. So the Buddha says in another sutra, which maybe we'll go over one day, that the mind is not a suitable platform for meditation. And why is that? The mind is always changing. The mind changes quicker than can be described. In fact, the Buddha admitted, I cannot find a suitable simile to describe how fast the mind changes. And this is the Buddha, the master of similes. So if he couldn't find it, that means the mind is completely unreliable. It is not a platform that we can use to become steady. He says better to meditate on the body, because the body at least remains for some time. And as we recently discussed with Richard Clarke, other than consciousness itself, the thing that is always with us is the breath. Even while we're sleeping, we're breathing. So if we use the breath as a platform to develop our awareness and concentrate the attention, then this will lead to amazing results. He says you can get the goal that's beyond all understanding, which means nibbana, nirvana. You can enter into turiya, the highest state of consciousness. So this is what we should do. This is what has to be done, according to the Buddha. We should go to a secluded place, it can even be our own room, and do what has to be done, which is watch and take note of the breath, Anapanasati or Anapanasmriti. Aum Tatsat. Aum Shakti Aum.
Okay, now Carol and I, while we were in India, we visited the Bodhi tree, and there are still people sitting under the Bodhi tree meditating. I think they close up the place at night, though, so I don't think they let people stay under it for 7 weeks like the Buddha did. So it's still there. It is still revered by the people who are there. And it seemed like a good place to meditate. It was kind of busy, though. It wasn't where you would go now to be alone in the forest, because there are all of those other people sitting next to you meditating. Okay, so now we are gonna have our final meditation, and now just breathe in and feel your breath as it goes in and out, and feel the energy spreading through your body as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, feel calmness and peace spread through your body. All right. And now let us close with a short chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. All right. Now I want to make one note about what was said about Buddha's instruction. Buddha talked about fixing your eyes on the tip of your nose. And the particular deal there, I don't think the tip of your nose is what is important. There is good scientific evidence that says when you fix your eyes, you fix the brain. So when you're moving your eyes around, you're moving your brain around too. And so the idea of just keeping your eyes in a fixed position is really for just helping you to settle your mind. So that's what's going on there. And that is something that might be worthwhile for you at least to notice and know that that's an opportunity maybe that you could use to help still your mind. Now, any questions or comments from today?
Sound like that guy liked asanas, yoga asanas. He was kind of making fun of them, but I like them.
Uh-huh.
Me too. They're wonderful.
That's right.
And I don't do the real weird ones. I can't do them. But
Okay. And okay. Anything else?
Nice.
I wanted to remark that it seems very counterintuitive to have the breath cycle start with an out breath and not an in breath.
Mm-hmm.
That seems way weird to me.
Uh-huh. Again, it's just there, if you look at the yoga teaching and the breathwork teaching, there are many patterns that they teach. And he's just saying that's what the Buddhist said. And, you know, maybe it's worth listening to. I don't know.
Isn't it a pretty shallow breath to breathe out the first time?
No, it depends. But,
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
you can't
again,
breathe
it's
out.
kind of the part of what he said and part of what Buddha said is that when you're doing it, whatever you're doing, don't try to control it. Just let your breath do what it's doing and watch it. And I think that that is the key to the practice, actually, is don't force it. Don't make it be how you want it to be. Just let it be how it is. Now, this is going to be our last session for a couple of weeks. And then next week, I'll send you a guided meditation that I'd suggest that you watch, and it'll be one that I think is appropriate for the changing years. And then the other thing I'm going to send you, I know you liked having homework so well that I'm going to give you some more. And what I'm going to do is send you something from UC Berkeley. And it's a kind of self-assessment test on mindfulness. And take it. It'll be interesting. It'll give you an idea of how mindful you actually are being within the limits of your telling yourself the truth when you answer the questions. And if you're willing, then the next time we get together, maybe we can talk about that. I certainly will not make anybody say what their score is, because I know some people have a feeling of privacy that I don't want to offend, but I'll give you an opportunity then to talk about it and see how you did with this session's homework. Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So very good. I'm really happy to see you and happy to have this session. And Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
See you next year.
See you next year. Yes.
Namaste.
Bye.
Okay.
Namaste.